You Booked It, episode 113. Hey, entertainers and performers of the world. I'm your host, Dane Reese, and welcome to You Booked It, where I chat with inspiring entertainment professionals 7 days a week. By digging into their journey, we're going to discover everything you need to do to have a successful entertainment career. You know, because training usually skips that part about how to actually make your skills work for you in the real world. Fellow entertainers, my drive here at You Booked It is to share the inspiring and incredible journeys of successful entertainment professionals. We're here to support your journey. So go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the You Booked It email community, where we dig deep into truly actionable things you can be doing right now to book that next audition, submission, or gig. If you enjoy this free podcast, please show your support and search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, where you can subscribe so you don't miss an episode, leave a rating, and review. And now, let's do this. Alrighty, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Tyler Hardwick. Are you ready for this, Tyler?
Yes.
All right. Tyler is a musical theater performer and screen actor who has been seen on some of the biggest stages in the country. Credits include Broadway, Once on This Island, and Motown the Musical. Tours include Once on This Island, Dreamgirls, and Motown the Musical. New York includes Bliss, Popstar, and regional credits include Marie Dancing Still. TV film includes NBC's The Blacklist. Tyler, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, fill in the gaps, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry?
So you said a couple of great things. You made it sound very impressive. So yeah, I did Motown the Musical on Broadway. I did it on tour. I did Once on This Island on Broadway, and then did Once on This Island on tour. And I was the first national Daniel. I got a little cute co-star on The Blacklist.
Oh, beautiful.
Which was awesome to make that TV leap. So yeah, that's the gist of it so far.
Perfect. And let's move on to this section here. And Tyler, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
I don't live by a day-to-day quote, but I actually have two, if I can.
Of course.
In the wake of where we are in our world, I would like to say one by James Baldwin. This has been on my heart for a while and explains a lot of things for a lot of people. And I'll definitely be moving forward with this quote on my heart. And the quote is, "We can disagree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist." That's James Baldwin.
That is so pertinent.
It is great because I think people think that we can agree to disagree and people have to accept that. And I agree with that for the most part. But where I draw the line and where I think most people should draw the line is when the disagreeing is with oppression. And then the second quote, because of yesterday, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a true patriot. I've always loved this quote from her. She says, "I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off of our necks." That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. May she rest in power, rest in peace. I'm sure she won't be able to rest as soon as she would like. As of our current political statement, she was even giving her last statement on her deathbed, hoping that they hold off on replacing her until after the election. And she's a true patriot, groundbreaking, and she's just one of the most incredible human beings. And this year we've lost a lot of greats.
We certainly have, unfortunately. But thank you for both of those quotes. They're so relevant, and they'll continue to be relevant for as long as I can foresee. So thank you for that. And let's move on to this section here. And Tyler, you're an entertainer, I'm an entertainer, and I think that you'd agree that this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, and personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry like you're having now takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, there is an outrageous amount of fun and excitement being an entertainer, being up on that stage or on screen or on set, there are also going to be our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we're going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
Ooh, failure. I go through failures every day.
Mm.
I haven't been as prepared as I would like to be at every single opportunity or situation that I've been in. It's something, I'm a very prepared kind of person. When the work is piled on, it can sometimes be very stressful and sometimes it can get the best of you. So
Yes.
there's been times where I definitely winged it. I don't know. Winged it.
Whichever
And it
tense,
did
yeah.
not go it did not go my way, but it definitely was a moment of, that I recognized, and I was like, oh, that's not a good feeling. I don't want to live in this. And I definitely changed that behavior, and I try to avoid procrastinating. We're human though, so it happens.
Of course, yeah, procrastination does inevitably happen to us all in some form sometimes. But really the biggest takeaway that I'm hearing is that you recognized that didn't feel so good when you show up somewhere you're not prepared. And especially when you're in this entertainment world, when it's you who people are looking at and it's your performance and your ego. It's not like you're
Right.
doing something on a spreadsheet that you just send away. It's you in that moment in real time having that
Right.
immediate feedback, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah,
And
and
to
they
learn
say
from
don't
that.
take it. Yeah, and they say don't take it personal, but it is personal because the work comes from within. It comes from you. It comes from your imagination, your crafting. So it does get personal, and we also know that our exterior physical attributes are also a part of the yes or the no,
Absolutely,
which can be hard.
for sure. But by taking control of the things that we can, trying not to procrastinate, trying to make sure
Hmm.
that we're as prepared as possible and learning from those instances when we went into a room and winged it, that this is how we grow and this is how we continue having more successes throughout our careers.
Right.
Great. Let's move on to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That
Uh,
one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing as an entertainer. Tell us about that.
In my junior year in high school, when I realized I wanted to do this, and I went back to my parents and I said, so I want to go to school for theater. They were like,
How did that conversation go?
oh, okay. Actually, I must say, my parents were very supportive and positive, and they just told me to do the best I can in anything that I want to do. So that's something that I've tried to live by as much as possible. Be the best and be the best me. So they were very supportive, and they definitely made me do all the work in terms of researching schools and all that stuff. So that was quite difficult because I didn't come from a theater family, and theater came into my life later. I didn't go to any theater camps. So they were pretty psyched about it because I made it very clear. I was like, I know I can do this. And I told them I honestly hate science. I hate this. I hate that. It
Yeah.
didn't stimulate me in the same way. I got great grades, but I told them it's not fulfilling. And if you know that at such an early age, why would you sign up for that for the rest of your life?
Yeah, there is so much in what you just said. Why would you sign up for that if you already know you don't enjoy it? We often think that we have to do that, quote, smart track in life. But
Mm,
especially in times like this with COVID and the way we've seen so many jobs disintegrate, obviously the entertainment industry included, but so many other industries outside of the entertainment industry, it's quite clear that, quote, safe path is not really all that safe.
right.
So
Right.
do what you're passionate about, do what you're drawn to that gives you fulfillment. And you're so lucky to have found that passion for something so strongly so young?
It was that or being a famous soccer player. And then I
Boom.
realized that I'm a guy in the US and our team is horrible. So that wasn't going to happen. But our women are the number ones. I'm on their bandwagon all day. They're amazing.
Exactly. I guess football and baseball and basketball take all of the top talents
Right.
before soccer
Right. In
in the
this
States.
country. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Wonderful. Well, let's piggyback on that real quick and talk about your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day, the auditions and callbacks, if they happen to be a part of it. What was going on in your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
Ooh. I think my Broadway debut has to be it, just because every moment is always really amazing. Obviously so, because it's a validating moment, it's a purpose and all of the above.
Mm.
But I was a wee baby at university, and I was flying back and forth from school to New York to go to callbacks for Motown the musical. And I maybe did about 3 or 4 of them at this time. And very stressed. I had a whole packet of Motown songs, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I just dove right in. And at the final callback, Barry Gordy was there, and I couldn't believe that. It just was crazy. I was like, wow, I'm in New York doing the thing. And then I went into the bathroom after I went through my audition, and Barry Gordy comes in to go to the bathroom as well. And I was like, I don't know what to say. And he was like, so, like, where do you live? Are you in school still? I said, yeah, but I'm leaving soon, so I'll be free.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure they knew, like, I can take the job.
Yeah.
And he goes, don't you worry about that. You're so talented. Like, you'll be great. And I couldn't believe that. And I also was like, this is awkward because we're in the bathroom, but I want to
Yeah.
give you your social distance, have you? But also it was like the best kind of like moment in the most peculiar place. And maybe a couple weeks later, sorry, I'm actually realizing I'm mushing 2 moments together. That was for the promotional tour that I booked out of school. Flash forward a month, I'm sleeping. Bethany Knox, who is the casting director for Motown the Musical, calls me and goes, Tyler, you booked your Broadway debut. And so I put all of this together because that was the domino that fell that led to this, to that.
Yeah.
I think about that experience all together. And I couldn't believe it. I like jumping around my apartment, and it just was so great. It was the stereotypical way that you would think about it, just now.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good story. And you're right. I love how you had those two moments, the promotional tour that led into that. And also you're like, it's okay. I don't need to keep doing school. Just let me
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
gig.
I
I'll say
just wanted to
yes.
be
I'll leave.
clear. Yeah, just say I'm free. I'm available without trying to be as awkward as possible to be
Yeah.
like, give me the job.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And it's a weird time. We talked about it a bit, this crazy pandemic that we're in. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
So where I am now, I actually had a very bad accident about a couple months ago. So these past
Mm.
couple months, I was recovering, which recovery is no joke. But recently, I've been much better, more mobile, and I have started taking some classes because I don't want to get rusty. I want to still fulfill my life with purpose. And obviously, I feel like I have purpose when I'm busy doing what I love and when I'm stressed about what I love.
Right?
So classes, I have a workshop coming up via Zoom with Susan Stroman and an amazing team. They're doing an adaptation of New York. I don't know much about it other than I've worked with this team on Marie Dancing Still. So I'm excited to see what that's about. That'll be a new experience for me, figuring out what this Zoom land is via a theatrical experience.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And yeah, just taking a lot of class. And I think the business is picking up. There's some TV. I've been doing some self tapes, we call them, for some TV. And hopefully Broadway will be back come March 2021 at the latest. And I think the business is also moving in a better social direction. And I hope that work continues to happen because there's space for us all, and there's space for us all in a very equitable, appropriate way. And I think we're figuring that out, and I hope we continue to do that.
Yeah. I love your insight on that. Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
yes. And it is time to move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to
Oh,
answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
oh my goodness. Okay.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
Nothing.
Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Ooh. I want to say be kind, but oh, I'm not good at fast things. I have to admit. Best advice, best advice, best advice. I get really flustered. I can't swear. Someone told me to F it up. I'm sorry, they did, and
That's good.
they consolidated it into go after it was essentially what it was. So I'm sorry, I'm really bad at lightning rounds. Go ahead.
Beautiful, beautiful. Third question. What is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
I think I like to talk about the present. I think that this moment really shook us to the present, and there is no pre-COVID in terms of what things are because we've learned a lot of things that were in the closet and now things are out.
Hmm.
And what's working for me now is I'm a grounded individual that has shed some skin because of this experience that we've gone through globally. And I'm really excited to move forward with this newfound wisdom. And I'm excited, and I know what I will tolerate, and I know what I will not, and I know how to pivot, and I have the vocabulary to explain what my thoughts are about every little social or whatever nuance of the world. So I'm really excited to be getting out there and being with more people and spreading some joy and love. And I think that's been working for me and will work better for me.
Great. And the fourth question. What is your best resource? Whether it's a book, a movie, a YouTube video, maybe a podcast, maybe a piece of technology that you found is helping your career right now.
Right now, the resource is Zoom because that's what keeps me connected to the world of my work. But Google has always been a resource, I think, for everybody. I know that sounds cheesy, but there's so much information readily available there that I've used trying to figure out certain things around a time period or this or that in auditions that I've had. So I think that's a great resource.
For sure. I know Google is definitely part of our lives a lot, but it's so easy. Everyone has it. Everyone's got their iPhone or whatever. But I don't know about you, but my parents will still ask me questions and not ask Google questions. Because all I do is turn around and ask Google the question, tell them the answer. You know what I mean? So while while we use it a lot, let's not forget there's a lot of people out there not fully Google-fied yet.
And I don't know what to tell them.
No. Google it.
I don't know. Yeah.
And the fifth question. If you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently, or would you keep it the same?
Ooh. I have two answers for this. In an ideal world, I probably would have gone to a different university. I would have loved to apply and go to Carnegie Mellon or University of Michigan. Talking about resources, I didn't have the knowledge personally while I was doing my own personal research into schools to even know about those schools, or
Hmm.
I just was so new to it. But then again, I say everything happens for a reason. I think of Beetlejuice. Everything happens for a reason. I love that show. So I think everything happens for a reason. And I've learned really valuable lessons through bad experiences, good experiences. And I think that those are just as valuable as the good experiences. It's good to maneuver through situations that make you uncomfortable that you also don't like, because that's going to happen as an adult.
That is such great advice. And the last question, what is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Ooh, for musical theater? Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Drink lots of water. Take care of your instrument. You know what? Actually, advice that I find a lot of people don't talk about this because it may be uncomfortable. The financial aspect of this business, theater particularly, people that are doing ensemble contracts or full production contracts, tour, Broadway, whatever have you. You get that big job and it's a lot of money at first. I think people get used to spending in the present opposed to saving because our job and our career is so inconsistent. I think that's something that I learned a lot from a castmate that I worked with, Krisha, who I look up to so much. She's now teaching at University of North Carolina. We did Motown tour together. So amazing, so inspiring. Just a lot about taxes and all this boring stuff that you don't want to think about. But those ideas really put me in a good place when COVID struck, because I always operate for the future. Like, you never know what can happen, da, da, da. And with my accident, with COVID, I'm really happy of my habits that I had in the past. And as we saw in this country and in the world, a lot of people really needed assistance. And I understand that sometimes you're not able to save, but if you are able, let's say in a contract that we have, it's a good opportunity to just snuggle a little bit of moolah away if you're able. And that's advice that I wish I got sooner, but I did get it at a good time where I was able to build a great habit. So I think that's important, because our career is very inconsistent. And if it's consistent, great.
For sure. I'm so glad you brought that up, because the financial side, the business side of this industry is just as important as the performance side if you want to have a career that has any sort of longevity to it. Because, like you said, we as entertainers don't really enjoy that stuff. It's boring learning about taxes, and learning about taxes is quite boring. But it's really not that much information to learn, and you just need a bit of it. But to take the time to become more financially literate and to know your tax situation, to know if you're going to be incorporating or not, if that's even a good idea for you to do that based on the type of work you do. And like you said, saving. It is so important to having a successful career that it definitely needs to be much more featured in the training programs of this world. But hopefully podcasts like this will at least shed some light on that. And actually, something I'm going to be doing fairly soon, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different on the podcast that is outside of the normal interview session that I have every day. And I'm going to bring some CPAs on, that's certified public accountants, that specifically work with people in our industry. And they're going to give a little bonus episode masterclass about how we can become more financially literate, the things we need to pay attention to. It's going to be chock full of so much value, and it's going to be so helpful for entertainers like us. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, as soon as I got, and I have very basic knowledge. I'm no, I sound like such a, I'm so boring. I promise I'm not as boring as this, but I do think it's very, very important. And I say this because I know what my habits were before I had this knowledge, and I know my habits now, and the amount of money that I've been able to save or just be in a good safety net is night and day. And just being organized in your taxes and all that stuff, it doesn't make the whole tax thing such a miserable thing. I'm very organized throughout the year, so it just is a folder pass off and I'm done, which is great. We talk about the acting, the singing, but it is a business. And I think that was information that I never got. So I just like to pass it along, just food for thought, do some Googling.
For sure. Thank you for bringing that up. And to wrap up this interview, Tyler, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
You can follow me on Instagram at Tyler Har, that's TYLERHAR, or Twitter, Tyler Hardwick 1. That's the number 1. And that's about it. You can follow me, and I put everything up on there as much as possible. And please get registered and don't forget to vote.
Fantastic. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Tyler just said into the description of this episode so you can easily connect with him. Tyler, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and have a little chat.
Thank you too. Nice to meet you and chat with you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My one call to action for you is to go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help advance your entertainment career. Don't miss an episode. We have a new guest 7 days a week. Search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.